Welcome to this explainer. So, picture this. You recently boot up your machine. You let the auto updater run its course, and suddenly you feel a very real panic attack coming on because your entire coding workspace is just gone. Well, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we're going to solve the frustration of that recent anti-gravity update and get your familiar coding environment perfectly restored. Seriously, where did the terminal go? If you woke up to find your incredibly rich, integrated development environment totally replaced by a stripped-down, Codex-style app with absolutely no code access, no terminal, and no file previews, take a deep breath. You are definitely not alone. This was a really jarring experience for so many developers who literally rely on these core tools every single day. Okay, here's our roadmap to get your workflow back. We'll quickly cover the Antigravity 2.0 update, porting settings to the new IDE, the future of the Antigravity IDE, how Antigravity stacks up versus VS Code, and finally, migrating your extensions to VS Code. Let's kick things off with the Antigravity 2.0 update, or what we're calling the rough launch. Let's pull back the curtain on what actually happened behind the scenes here. During Google I/O, they announced that Antigravity 2.0 was available everywhere, and boom, everyone's software automatically updated. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Google completely separated the tools without clear communication. They aggressively pushed the chatbot-style 2.0 app as their flagship desktop software, effectively burying the full integrated development environment that you actually want to use for heavy lifting. The 2.0 app simply doesn't have the flexibility to let you view files, access the terminal, or talk to agents in one unified environment. It's a totally different beast. Moving right along to porting settings to the new IDE and restoring that V1 experience. If you want your original, robust setup back, here is exactly how to bypass that 2.0 desktop app and restore your old, reliable environment. First, you kind of have to go out of your way to find the specific installer, because they certainly didn't put it front and center. You need to navigate to antigravity.google/download. Once you're there, whatever you do, do not click the giant default 2.0 button right at the top. Instead, you've got to scroll all the way down past the CLI and SDK sections until you find the standalone Antigravity IDE installer. That is the specific file you want to download. And this actually illustrates a brilliant immediate fix that the team just rolled out. Once you launch that Antigravity IDE installer, you're going to see that the development team recently threw in a very handy migrate button. When you click this, it acts as an absolute lifesaver of a workaround that automatically ports all your version 1 settings straight over to the standalone IDE software. After it ports your settings, just hit Next to finish the standard setup. Just like that, boom, your files, your folders, and your standard IDE user interface are back in action. Now, what if you need your specific external tools back, like Cloud Code or OpenAI's Codex? Easy. Simply open up the Extensions tab on the left side of your newly restored IDE and try searching for them there. If your search comes up completely blank, don't panic. Just dive into your Antigravity IDE settings and ensure that your Marketplace item URL and gallery URL are pointed specifically to marketplace.visualstudio.com. Once you correct that URL, you can just install those extensions straight from the Marketplace exactly like you're used to. To fully restore that classic version 1 aesthetic, you're definitely going to want quick access to your agent coding harnesses right at arm's reach. To pop them back onto the right side of the screen, just click on your Customize Layout menu, find the secondary activity bar option, and toggle it on. By simply right-clicking this bar, you can easily turn the visibility of your different coding harnesses on or off, getting your perfect workflow totally dialed in again. Next up, let's talk about the future of the Antigravity IDE. It's time to read between the lines. When you really look at the strategy behind this update, you gotta wonder, why would Google have separated these tools in the first place and completely buried the IDE version? Well, when you read between the lines of this silent split, it points to a pretty stark business reality. Because Google likely prefers you to stay entirely within their ecosystem, they probably don't love the idea of you easily running competitor tools like OpenAI's Codex or external Cloud Code extensions right inside their proprietary IDE. Because of this, there's a lot of growing speculation in the dev community that the standalone Antigravity IDE might eventually just be decommissioned entirely in favor of their more locked-down 2.0 app. Which brings us to Antigravity versus VS Code, the OG alternative. If the potential future instability of Antigravity has you worried, let's look at the open source alternative. Remember, at the end of the day, Antigravity was originally just a fork of the standard VS Code anyway. So let's compare your newly restored Antigravity setup against a standard VS Code installation. Functionally speaking, both of these environments successfully provide the exact core IDE functionality you actually need. In both, you get full access to your terminal and you get seamless file and folder previews. However, there are two very distinct differences you need to keep in mind if you're deciding between the two. The really crucial difference is that standard VS Code completely lacks the aesthetic secondary activity bar on the right side. Instead, all your tools are going to live together bunched in the left sidebar. Secondly, standard VS Code does not currently have access to the native Google agents, simply because an extension for it doesn't exist yet. But here's the thing, if Google does ultimately decommission the Antigravity IDE, it's highly likely they'll eventually release a VS Code extension for those native agents anyway to serve the massive open source user base. Finally, let's look at migrating extensions to VS Code and setting up that alternative. If you've decided you just want to jump ship to the stability of standard VS Code right now, here is exactly how you manually recreate your anti-gravity workflow. Because anti-gravity and VS Code literally share the exact same underlying architecture, manually migrating is a breeze. Step 1. Just open up your standard VS Code software. Step 2. Navigate over to the Extensions tab located on the left sidebar. Step 3. Search for the specific tools you rely on, like Cloud Code and Codex. And finally, Step 4. Hit Install. And that's literally it. You have now functionally replicated the entire anti-gravity experience inside an open source environment. So as you sit down to rebuild your workflow today, the ultimate question remains, what's it going to be? Will you stick it out, click migrate, and stay within the shifting sands of the Google ecosystem just to keep that sweet secondary activity bar? Or will you embrace the rock-solid open-source stability of VS Code and manually install your tools to future-proof your setup against any more unexpected updates? The choice is entirely up to how you prefer to build. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and hey, happy coding!